It's time for the telecast, brought to you by
the Geekcast Radio Network. And here is your host for the show, Optimus Solo.
Hello, as he said, I'm your host, Optimus Solo, and I would like to thank you all for joining me here for another special edition episode of the Telecast. That's right, it's time for another of our 6 supplemental episodes. This one we're labeling 25.5, and the topic for this supplemental episode is characters you had a crush on, or girls you liked from kids' live-action programs of the 80s or 90s. And with me to help on this episode, once again, is JT from Saskatoon. Hello, sir.
Good day to you.
Yes, and so basically it's all about girl talk today.
Girls.
And if you have not seen any or listened, you probably couldn't see it, but if you haven't listened to any of our supplemental episodes, the way this is going to work, we've each come up with our own independent list of 5 girls that we were attracted to, had crushes on, liked, or whatever from these shows. And we're just going to go back and forth through our list until we get to our number 1 picks. There might be some repeats, there might not. We don't know each other's lists, so we're just going to go have some geek moments about girls we liked when we were kids. So anything you would like to say or preface before we get to our number 5 picks, JT?
One, I'm glad I remembered at the last second that this is, girls from like kid shows, stuff like that, because the original list I had was about 10, and, well, there were a few older women on there, because I was a boy, and hormones, and life, people.
Well, I got to say this at the end because I don't want to say it in case it's on your list, but I will mention one that I know would be on Blanchard's list, and you'll understand why I bring that up later.
Yeah, no. But no, I guess we'll talk about that at the end. There were some almost there types, so.
Yeah. All right, and we will do a little bit of honorable mentions once we know what our 5 are, just in case we want to make sure that people don't go nuts that we didn't mention a couple. But why don't you start us off with your number 5 pick, GT?
All right. Well, I'll just get the disappointment out of the way, Kevin. And my number 5 was Amy Jo Johnson, who played Kimberly the Pink Power Ranger on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Holy, here we go again.
Get off my bridge.
I was a kid, and I thought she was cute, and, she kicked ass, and, it's one of those things, it's like, you can't say exactly why I like her, but I mean, I've always had a crush on her, and I mean, even after Power Rangers, she did stuff like Felicity, which I kind of stayed very far away from that one. And then she came back in this, it's actually a collaborative effort between CTV in Canada and CBS in the States. Was this cop show called Flashpoint that's set in Toronto, Canada, where she's basically the member of a retooled SWAT team that isn't all about, shock and awe. They actually talk people down and negotiate, and I really like her in that show as well. So yeah, it's just like Amy Jo Johnson. 2 thumbs up.
Well, I'm not going to... It has nothing to do with my despise for Power Rangers. No matter how much I hate that series or that show, there's obviously a possibility that there is a girl that is cute on there. I just wouldn't be able to tell you if I think she's cute or not because I've definitely never seen a picture of her. Oh. So, one thing we might do, though, and one thing you can look for on the post of this episode, if you're watching or if you're listening to this through iTunes, you can go to geekcastradio.com and find the actual post because we will be putting pictures up of our top 5.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see what they all look like in case you need a refresher, and we'll try to find the best possible pictures of those individuals. My number 5 pick is probably someone you're not going to I don't remember if you remember this show or not. And I didn't really think about her at first. It was kind of one that snuck in after the fact. She's from Salute Your Shorts. And it was played by Megan Berwick, and the character was ZZ Ziff. Now,
don't really remember that show at all.
She was a character. I didn't necessarily like her character, so to speak. I didn't have a crush on her personality. But there was something about her mannerisms and her look that I liked, and she played a kind of like a tree hugging, preteen camper of the group. I mean, you had your athlete of the group and you had your fashion stuck-up girl, and she played more of the down-to-earth but slightly annoying tree hugger type person. But she was just really cute, and if you see a picture of her nowadays, she is a hot woman. So, I don't know, maybe we'll have to do before and after pictures on the site as well so people can see what they looked like then and what they look like now. But, ZZ from Salute Your Shorts is my number 5. So, how about Go ahead.
I was going to say, that's cool. It's like, I kind of... like
She's a little blonde girl.
Yeah. I'm just kind of like... it's like one of those, it's on the tip of my tongue, and, it's going to drive me nuts. So, no. My number 4 is Melissa Joan Hart from Clarissa Explains It All.
I figured that you probably would have her on the list, and I'm not upset about that because she probably does need to be mentioned. I'll spoil it right now and say she's not on my list anywhere. But
you bastard.
But she is worth mentioning. Well, for me, it was more of I wanted to be her friend. I wanted to hang out with her, and I never got the vibe that I actually wanted to have a relationship with her.
Well, yeah, no, I had her on my friends list way back in the day on that episode, and I just the girls that I always had crushes on in real life were always the ones that they were fun to be with, and they were funny. They could make me laugh. And Melissa Joan Hart is like I never really thought of her too much as a hottie. Like, I thought it's like, she's starting to look good in Sabrina, like, after Clarissa.
Mm-hmm.
Then she did that Maxim photo shoot, and I was just like, crap. Clarissa grew up.
Clarissa has grown up.
Yeah, no, I always had, like, a kind of a crush on her, and, yeah, it's just, she's like the character, she was funny, she was sassy, had spoken mind, and...
She's one of those girls that would probably be fun to have a relationship with because she could also be your best friend, or you could also see yourself, whatever, like playing video games with her, or like, doing more guy stuff with her. But
not necessarily guy stuff, but you could hang out and have a good time.
Right.
And also, she shared a superpower with Zach Morris in that she could break the fourth wall.
Yes. She was one of those characters that probably would have been fun to have a relationship with, but for me, she was never one of those characters that just like screamed, like, look at me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I totally get why you have her on your list, and I actually considered her for my number 5, but I went a different direction.
Yeah.
But I'm glad she's represented in one of our lists. My number 4, hopefully people will remember this one because it's a character from Saved by the Bell. And it is Stacey Carosi, who is played by Leah Remini from King of Queens.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just something about her on that show. She was an attractive girl, but she also just had that spunky, in-your-face attitude.
Oh, yeah.
And something about that connected with me, and she was just really kind of hot back then. She is still hot. But I don't know, there was just something about the way she talked, the way she acted. I could have seen myself falling for her if I was around her as a kid.
Oh, I could see that. I mean, she definitely had that kind of that spice to her, that made her stick out. And there's no denying that she's an attractive woman. It's just, I like Stacey Carosi, and, I like Leah Remini. She's pretty much half the reason I watched King of Queens while it was on TV.
Right.
It's just, I don't know.
She would annoy me after a while, but I would have still probably had a crush on her until I got to go on a date with her, and then after the date, I would have been like,
Yeah. No, I think I can see that. It's just Leah Remini, really? She's attractive, but
not your style.
Attractive? Yeah, it's not my speed.
What's your number 3?
Well, my number 3 is a tie.
Okay.
And one of them is outside the purview of this season of the telecast. Now, the first one of that is Jennifer Love Hewitt, who was on Kids Incorporated.
Yes, she is.
I just love the way he says it. Yes, she is. And the other is Alyssa Milano, who's on Who's the Boss. And I think the main thing I liked about both of them is like Alyssa Milano, her character Sam played, she was pretty forward thinking, kind of sassy, take charge kind of girl. And I don't remember a lot of how Jennifer Love Hewitt was on Kids Incorporated, but the main thing with those two that I crush on and I love is they got those Joker smiles. Like, they just get this rictus grin, show a million miles at chiclet teeth smiles. Yeah. And I'm just like, I love you.
Alyssa Milano might make my list in a future season. Jennifer Love Hewitt is the hottest girl to ever walk the earth.
Yeah, I'm not. I'll agree and disagree because there are others. I
had pictures of her. This proves that I had a crush on her because I had pictures of her in my locker at school, and I also had all the magazines that she was on the cover of. So she is by far my biggest teenage crush ever. I don't have her on my list though, because the reason I don't have her on my list is because I did not have a crush on her when she was on Kids Incorporated. Yeah, no, I mean,
and I was like, if you know anything about me, I'm a sucker for like song and dance stuff from the 80s, and that's why I love Kids Incorporated. And but no, I just kind of hooked on her because she had that smile. She had that real sweetness to her. And I liked Alyssa Milano because, hottie.
Yeah.
And then years later I saw Embrace of the Vampire, and I was just like, oh, God.
No, I'm definitely interested to see what my list will be like once we get to covering some other things in future seasons, because there's some future season topics that will be ripe with choices for crushes, and we'll probably have to do a top 10 at that point. For sure. But, yeah, there's a couple people that I'll mention later from Kids Incorporated and the Mickey Mouse Club that if it was talking about them in a future instance, I would have put them on my list, but I just didn't connect to them because I liked the song and dance and the music and the stuff, and I liked watching that stuff, but I didn't necessarily connect to the people so much as I did with some of these other shows.
Yeah.
My number 3 is another one, unfortunately, that you're probably not going to know, because I'm pretty sure I recall you not saying that you had seen this show, and that's Hey Dude, which, by the way, is coming out or just came out on DVD. I'm sure Mike will correct me on that. But there was a character called Melody Hansen, played by Christine Taylor. And whether you've seen Hey Dude or not, you've seen Christine Taylor. And I'm not like a huge Christine Taylor fan, but on Hey Dude, I really liked her. She's just another hot blonde, and she was on a dude ranch, and that's kind of a I don't know, that seems kind of attractive to be on a dude ranch with a hot girl.
You got a thing for the blonde cowgirl.
Yeah, well, the thing is, when I was growing up, I always was attracted to brunettes. But I have 2 blondes on my list here, so I don't know. But yeah, Christine Taylor she was just fun. She was a bit of an airhead, and that would have probably bugged me. But just from a general standpoint, she would have been fun to hang around with. And that's probably one of the main reasons why I watched Hey Dude when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting to the top of the top.
Just like looking at Christine Taylor, it's like, I like her, but you look at who she's married to now, and she loses some points. Just look up Christine Taylor, look who she's married to, folks. You'll understand where I'm coming from. My number 2 again is a kid show that isn't actually on this season, and it is, and I'd say it's more the actress because, like I said, the characters I may not have clicked with is more like the actresses playing them.
Mm-hmm.
And my number 2 is Stacey Mistison, who played Caitlin Ryan on Degrassi Junior High through Degrassi High and the current series Degrassi Next Gen.
Nice. I'm glad we had something. You found a show outside of the topic, or outside of the season that's still on topic. I like it.
Yeah. No, I mean, okay, and for those that don't know what Degrassi is, just basically watch and listen to Kevin Smith, because this dude is obsessed with it. Not that that's a bad thing, because it's a great show, but Degrassi was a show that started in like the late 70s as the kids of Degrassi Street, and it was like a kids, like half-hour kids, kind of drama that aired in Canada on CBC, and eventually it grew into Degrassi Junior High, where a lot of characters that were in that series went on to Degrassi High and then came back in Next Generation. Mm-hmm. Like years after the original series ended, and they had like a reunion. It was like the graduation/reunion movie. And she was a character. She was like the character was like an environmentalist. She was on the newspaper, very forward thinking, something like that. Mm-hmm. And the character, the actress is Stacey Lowe. She's like a redhead, which already she's got a butt ton of points, because redheads are like my kryptonite.
Oh, okay.
It's literally, it's like, hey, JT, redhead, where? But no, it's just the character of Caitlin I liked a lot on the show, mainly because of how Stacey played her, and she was like, she cared about a lot. She's actually cared about stuff so much that she ended up getting arrested while, graffiti or spraying graffiti on a nuclear power plant, which I thought was kind of badass, because I would never have enough balls to do that. Mm-hmm. And the character, when they bring her back in Next Gen, she went on, she followed her passions into becoming like a world-renowned news reporter. And they kind of worked that into the show before they kind of phased out some of the older characters on Next Gen and continued on with the kids. And in doing research for my list here, I found out that Mistison is also a DJ.
Interesting.
Like, she does a monthly gig at a club called Disgraceland in Toronto, Ontario, as DJ Miss Delicious, and I kept thinking to myself, yes, you are.
That's a great name.
In my best Barry White.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's just, it's really hard, because I don't know about you, it's kind of hard for me to put into words why I like certain, it's just like,
yeah,
I just do. Yeah.
My number two, people might be surprised that I'm going to this show, because we really ripped it a new one when we talked about it. But this girl just, Saved by the Bell, the new class. I don't know if I ever say this person's name right as far as the actress, but Natalie Sigliuti, who played Lindsay Warner, she was a brunette, and she was just 100% girl next door. Just the cutest thing that could be, and the only reason anyone should ever watch Saved by the Bell in New Class. She was just a little hottie. Like, that is I know they were trying to redo all the people from Saved by the Bell, kind of do those same personalities, and this is like the one character that they brought in that I was like, I don't mind this one at all. Like, I don't know if most people will recognize her. They might have to go to geekcastradio.com to actually see a picture of her, and then it should ring bells for them. But Lindsay Warner was a hottie, and I would have liked to go to school with her.
Oh, yeah. No, now that I see a picture of her, found her on the IMDb here, I was like, yeah.
It might be Natalia Sigliuti. I don't know how you say your name, but she's hot.
Oh, no, it's no argument here. No,
seriously, that show Blue Chunks, but she was cute, and like I said, she just had this playful, innocent girl next door, but hot, and that's super.
Well, she's got that smile, and
yes,
and for me, as uncultured as I can be, she's got one of those smiles. She's got one of those smiles. It's almost innocent. Mm-hmm. With just a little bit of mischief.
A little bit of, I want to explore.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, prove it. Make me. And Well, the less said about that line of thought, the better.
Exactly. So now, folks, we're coming down to the number one pick.
Yes.
Are we going to have the same number one pick?
Hello, nurse.
My number one is, can anyone guess? Is Tiffany Thiessen from Saved by the Bell, Kelly Kapowski.
I second that emotion.
Anybody that was a kid in our generation that this girl would not be number one on your list needs to have their head checked.
Head checked, man. They need a shot upside the head.
Because Kelly Kapowski was the epitome of the girl every single teenage boy or preteen boy wanted to date. Like, this is what made many boys all of a sudden realize that girls were good.
You're like cooties.
That girls no longer had cooties.
Yeah.
That they could put down the basketball or whatever and be like, wait a second. I'm feeling things I've never felt before.
To borrow a line from Joey from Friends, she was the first girl that made me go, how you doing?
Whoa.
Yeah, well, not Julie Lawrence.
I know. You said Joey, yeah. I had to go with whoa.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, again, she is a very whoa girl, but no, it's just she has that smile, she has that personality. She wasn't as political as Jessie. She wasn't as stuck up or vapid as Lisa.
She didn't have. All the other girls on that show had a quality about them that would turn you away from them. Whether it was Jessie a little bit too smarty pants, whether it was Lisa a little too vain, whether it was Stacey Croce, who was a little bit too in your face maybe at times, Tori, who was a little bit too manly at times.
I kind of like Tori.
I did. Tori almost made my list, but Kelly had none of those.
No,
there was nothing to dislike about Kelly. Now I know this will get maybe some debate, and I know the jury's out. I know Mike doesn't feel this way, but when I say Kelly Kapowski, I am only talking about, she would only be number one on my list from her Saved by the Bell years. Now, she might still be on my list for her other years as far as like when she was on future shows, like 90210 or Melrose Place or whatever she was on after that, 90210. Yeah. Like, she might be on my list from there, but she wouldn't be number one because I didn't necessarily like all the changes that took place with her. But yeah. As far as her actual Saved by the Bell years, in those age, however old she was then, she is number one without a doubt.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, and you look at some of her Tiffany Thiessen's later roles, like Billy Chambers on Fastlane, which is, one of 3 shows that Fox axed way too soon, all in the same year, But no, it's like she's had a lot of great roles, like Valerie on 90210. She was half the reason I started watching the show again.
Yeah.
Because I watched it in the first couple of years and I kind of fell off. And then, hey, Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell is on 90210. And I was like, excuse me?
See, I just liked her Kid Next Door long brown hair look a little bit better than the short hair, punky.
Yeah. She had, like, her look on Belle, she had this. When I say plain, I don't mean that in a dry. She just had this, she's the total package,
Yeah. Heck yeah. And Saved by the Bell was also very good at putting her in outfits that were really attractive.
Yes.
As far as, like, bikini type things or cheerleading type outfits or something that would, like, show off her body. And it was like, yes.
She comes in wearing, like, booty shorts and the jean jacket with some kind of not quite halter top type of deal, and let's just say it. She could make mud look good.
Well, and that's another reason why I think people like Zach so much, why Zach was viewed as so cool, because he actually got Kelly, which is what everybody wanted. So everybody thinks Zach's cool because of that. If it was not for Kelly, Zach would not have been seen as cool as he was.
Maybe not. I think with me, Zach is he's the type of guy that you want to hang out with because he's cool, but also because he's got the hot ass girlfriend, and you kind of want to be there in case it all goes south. You can catch her on the rebound.
Right. But if he's not dating Kelly, he's not nearly as cool in people's eyes
Yeah.
I don't think.
I mean, he might have a superpower, but it's not worth it. Superman is nothing without Lois Lane.
So if anybody out there thinks that there's someone that was better than Kelly Kapowski, you had a crush on someone more than you had on Kelly Kapowski, post on our website, because I got to question your mental stability.
Yeah, I'd like to see the argument for somebody else.
She is by far number one. But before we end, I do want to go back and see if we've missed any that we should mention or that we want to throw out there. I will start off. There was, I could see maybe if someone putting the couple girls from the college years on there. I can't remember the two names, but the other two girls that appeared on the college years, one that Zach was interested in for a little bit, and Leslie, and then the other one that Slater was interested in. I could see somebody throwing those on a list. For me, that was more of past that time.
Yeah, no, the character that the Leslie I like, because she was intelligent, and she was thoughtful, and she was kind of the antithesis of Zach. The one, Alex?
Yes, Alex.
The girl that dated Slater. She was cute and all, but that voice. That voice would have made my ears bleed.
No, I'm with you there.
And because, and not to say I didn't like the actress or the character that much, it's just the fact that, when she got blown up real good in Independence Day, I kind of gave a little huzzah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm actually surprised that you didn't have another person on your list, and that was the girl from California Dreams.
Kelly Packard, I really do like her, but she was, because like I said, I basically came up with a 10 list originally. And as much as I liked Kelly, I liked Kimberly more, so.
Yeah.
No, one woman I should mention that was on my list, and this is just because, I don't know what I was like as a kid. I can barely remember, but the first Ghostbusters, Sigourney Weaver. I've always had a weird thing for Sigourney Weaver, and I think any guy that grew up in the 80s and saw Ghostbusters at the age of 5 knows exactly what I'm going to talk about, is when Venkman goes to pick up Dana for the date after she's been possessed by the Zool.
Yeah.
She opens that door, and she's all done up with that dress, and it's like one of those, I don't know what I'm feeling right now, but it's not a bad thing.
Right. That brings me up, since you said woman, it brings me up to the one that I think Mike would probably have on his top 5, which would definitely make me question things about Mike. He would probably put Miss Bliss on here.
I can see it. I mean, she was an attractive woman. I wouldn't necessarily have a crush on her, but
I'm just trying to throw Mike under the bus so he can be mad at me.
Mike deserves to get thrown under the bus. Not necessarily for Miss Bliss. That's the point.
There was a few other girls on California Dreams and Saved by the Bell, the new class I could see people throw in. There was another girl from Hey Dude. So I could see people throwing in a few other girls here and there. Other than that, I can't think of any other shows that would have even had potential. I do want to mention, before I give you another chance to talk, the rest of the Kids Incorporated and Mickey Mouse Club. Obviously, you had Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, among other people, on the Mickey Mouse Club. You had Jennifer Love Hewitt, you had Fergie, and a couple other people on Kids Incorporated. All of these people later on would be on my list in their later roles, probably, but I just didn't necessarily notice them as much when they were on these shows, so that's why I didn't put any of them on my list.
Yeah. No, I mean, oddly enough, I did kind of crush a little bit on Sam from California Dreams, obviously.
Yeah.
Did crush on her a little bit. Diana Uribe, or like they played Lorena, she was hot, but it just never really clicked for me. Like, I like them, but not the way I like, Kelly Packard or Tiffany Thiessen. And again, this is just, maybe I just watch these movies way too young, but I've always had a weird thing, Sigourney Weaver. I had a weird thing for Adrienne Barbeau growing up. And I think that's just because of that one scene from the Swamp Thing movie where, she's wearing like the white nightie and she comes out of the swamp and, your mind starts making bad thoughts. And the other one, and this is honestly, I like her, I think it was like crushing on her because of the acting and the character, was Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
And kind of I mean, come on, it's like, I loved her in the first movie, and then she went from being like this kind of sweet chick to being like this complete badass in Terminator 2 as like, you know what, it's all good, baby. You know?
Well, and I should mention that this topic will be used again in a future supplemental episode. For future seasons, we will be covering other topics in telecast in future seasons. I don't want to let everything out of the bag, but let's say, for example, hypothetically, if we were to cover 80s or 90s sitcoms at some point, you might see the reemergence of girls you had a crush on. So don't think that we're not going to revisit this with other shows later on. So we might have missed some that you had a crush on, but remember, this was just for basically kids shows of the 80s and 90s. So just hang tight, and you might see some more girl talk down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's always good to talk about girls. Anything else, JT? Anybody else that you want to mention that we didn't talk about?
No, because, I mean, at this point, I think...
No more Power Rangers?
Don't worry, Kevin. There'll always be Power Rangers. But not today.
Okay, that's good. My day can continue happily then. All right, that does it for our, what is this, like our fifth supplemental episode. I'd like to thank JT for being with me today, and of course thank everybody else for tuning in and listening to hear us on the telecast. If you want to leave us feedback for the show, listen to one of our regular episodes, and I'll give you all the instructions on there. But I will say, go to geekcastradio.com, click on telecast, find the post, comment on it, tell us who we missed. Did we miss one of your favorite crushes? If you have arguments for us, we want to get your feedback. We will reply. We always check that and reply to people's comments. So go there, do that now. For now, we hope we succeeded in entertaining you, informing you, and most importantly, unleashing the geek in you on this special episode of the telecast. And we hope that you will tune in for our next episode when we start up our second to last tier set of themed episodes for this first season of the telecast with You Can't Do That on Television. For now, but you can do that on podcast. For now, I'm your host, Optimus Solo, with
JT from Saskatoon.
And we will see you in 10 days for another episode of the telecast.
Yay!
Discover this.
Guys.
Ready.
What? Like the cowboys say. Sing it again now.
I'm on TV.
Science rules.
Everybody look around, hear the sounds of the Christmas gonna come your way.
Surf dudes with attitude,
Kinda groovy.
laid back move.
Marshall, Will, and Holly
get stuck